Do you know the most economical way to travel to Las Vegas? That's not going to Vegas anymore. Because by the summer of 2025, everything here will have become ridiculously expensive. A bottle of water can cost as much as a fast food meal. An hour of parking can quickly empty your wallet. And basic services you thought you'd already paid for always come with unexpected surcharges. Millions of tourists, from older couples to retirees seeking a little fun after years of hard work, are leaving the city. They didn't leave because Vegas lost its appeal, but because they realized they were being constantly scammed every day. The dazzling advertisements, the enticing promotions, all of it is essentially a sophisticated matrix, turning every trip into a financial nightmare. The disappointment isn't just about the price, it's also about the feeling of betrayal. You come to the City of Lights with expectations of joy and luxury, only to realize you're being pickpocketed, completely legally. In today's video, let us take you on a tour of Sin City as a first-time visitor and show you all the ways this place extracts money from you without you even realizing it. Thus, when it's your turn, you won't fall into the same traps. Don't get too excited when you see a room price of $79 per night on the Las Vegas Strip. That shockingly low number is only a small fraction of the total amount you'll actually have to pay. In Las Vegas, hotels operate a sophisticated two-sided accounting system. The room price displayed on the screen is vastly different from the amount you actually pay when you receive your bill. This is the most common trick that almost all tourists fall for even before they step onto the Strip. You can book through an intermediary website for $79, thinking you just snagged a bargain. But when paying, the number suddenly doubled. The minimum resort fee is $50 to $55 per night, plus 13.38% tax on the room, and then another 13.38% tax on the resort fee itself. Result: the original $99 room increased to $175. Strategically speaking, this is not difficult to understand. Lower listed prices help hotels rise to the top of search results and attract clicks. Additionally, the commission paid to the intermediary website is only calculated on the original room rate, not including the resort fee. So, the hotel has a reputation for being cheap and also reduces costs. A social paradox. What was once a symbol of entertainment and generosity has now become a financial hell, where the elderly and middle-aged tourists have to count every penny before opening their wallets. If you're still wondering, what is a resort fee? Let me analyze. This is a service fee that almost every hotel in Vegas is required to charge. It usually includes Wi-Fi, local calls, a gym, a swimming pool. It sounds like a lot, but in reality, most visitors never use it all. Just think about it. When you're traveling, how many people actually go to the gym? And hotel Wi-Fi is almost useless when everyone has 4G in their pocket. However, whether you use it or not, you still have to pay this entire fee. One traveler recounted, "I was charged over $50 a night just for Wi-Fi and free calls that I didn't even use." Even if you're comped, meaning you get a free room for playing a lot in the casino, the resort fee doesn't disappear. To put it bluntly, this is legal hidden fees. Not illegal, but it's no different from subtly pickpocketing tourists. In reality, it's still possible for guests to have their resort fees waived, but the approach plays a decisive role. If you bluntly ask the hotel to waive this fee, the offer will almost certainly be rejected. However, if the services listed in the resort package are not operational, for example, the Wi-Fi is broken or the pool is temporarily closed, you can politely file a complaint with a valid reason. While there's no guarantee you'll get 100% free, at least it opens up the opportunity to reduce some of the inherently invaluable capital costs. What's noteworthy is that resort fees are not only costly, but also create a feeling of being deceived for guests. They book rooms at what seems like a low price, but when you add in all sorts of extra fees, the actual cost can double or even triple. It's no surprise that these fees have become one of the most common complaints among tourists in Las Vegas. And over time, that creates a bad impression that Vegas is always looking for ways to fleece tourists, making many people hesitant to return. Is a city once dubbed the entertainment paradise gradually losing the trust of tourists simply because of these seemingly small but calculated fees? And more importantly, are you, as a traveler, willing to pay for services you don't use just to stay in the game in Vegas? Another trick that surprises many tourists is the strange surcharges that appear right during their meals. A glass of wine or a steak in Vegas is already expensive, but then an additional charge is added that many people aren't even aware of. For example, at a restaurant in the Link Promenade area, right in the middle of the strip, diners often have to pay an additional 4.9% CNF, concession and franchise fee. What's noteworthy is that this fee is actually listed on the menu, but it's in such tiny print at the bottom of the page that you almost have to squint or use a magnifying glass to see it. In Las Vegas, the application of CNF fees happens in a very underground way. The waitstaff will never proactively mention this amount, nor will they clearly inform the diners. But when the bill comes, that number will definitely appear, whether you agree or not. On the menu, CNF is only listed in a tiny line of small print at the bottom of the page, to the point where most people either overlook it or don't even see it. To detect it, you almost have to squint and read carefully or examine the bill like a detective to realize its presence. As for the employees, they see it as obvious, a rule from management that they simply follow. Only when customers ask do they reluctantly explain, otherwise they remain silent as if nothing happened. The irony is that this type of fee is perfectly legal in Nevada. Customers cannot sue or report CNF because legally CNF is permitted to exist. However, that legality is full of absurdity. This amount of money is not tied to any additional products or services. The payer cannot add items or receive special service. Essentially, it's just a way to legally inflate the price of a meal, leaving many tourists feeling subtly tricked. Many tourists and vloggers have shared that when they ask restaurants to remove the CNF fee from their bill, the request is almost always approved immediately. Employees often waive this fee without argument or attempting to delay, which suggests they were not entitled to any bonus benefits from CNF in the first place. This amount is essentially imposed by the management or the restaurant chain, and it acts as a hidden trap. Those who don't pay attention have to pay, while those who are observant can have it removed. As a result, many diners feel disappointed when the final bill is about 5% higher than expected. This difference isn't large enough to cause a fierce argument, but it's enough to make it feel like a scam. It makes tourists underestimate the transparency of dining services in Vegas, and more broadly, tarnishes the image of the local tourism industry. Not a few people even consider CNF to be one of Vegas's most famous legal scams, second only to the resort fee, which has been controversial for years. The remarkable thing is that customers could have completely coped if they had known in advance. Many people advise reading the menu carefully, especially the small print at the bottom of the page, or frankly asking the staff whether the bill includes CNF. When paying, you can politely suggest waiving this amount and will usually be agreed to. Most importantly, check the invoice very carefully before signing. In Vegas, the unspoken rule is, don't be afraid to ask, because if you don't, there's a good chance that money will be lost needlessly. Will these tricks cause Vegas to lose the trust of those who once loved and returned to this place many times? And more importantly, if even a single meal can become an elaborate trap, how many other secrets are waiting for tourists in this city that never sleeps? As soon as you step foot in Vegas, you can easily find stacks of thick magazines for sale right at the airport, hotel lobbies, or front desks. Above it, the words "Best of Vegas" proudly appear with countless award categories, from hotels, casinos, restaurants, and bars to unexpected areas like real estate services, car rental companies, and even small entertainment programs. The purpose at first glance seems very noble, to honor the city's most outstanding names. But once they look deeper, many visitors begin to wonder, do these rankings truly reflect quality, or are they simply a game that can be bought? Many accounts suggest that behind the glory of those award plaques, not a few restaurants or programs achieved their titles simply because they were sponsors or paying members of the very organization presenting the awards. Those who have worked here also admit that they were asked to fill out online ballots for their company to increase their chances of winning. In some places, even a car rental company with a few negative online reviews can still be awarded the title of best, simply because they contribute financially. Stories like these are gradually devaluing the Best of Vegas title, turning it into a marketing tool rather than a measure of prestige. As a result, tourists, who often rely on these rankings to choose where to eat, stay, or find entertainment, risk falling into the trap of expectation. They come hoping to experience the best of Vegas, but in return, sometimes they only receive disappointment and a feeling of being cheated. Not a few people, after such experiences, sigh that this city is increasingly becoming a place where everything can be bought and sold, including reputation. And as customer trust erodes, the very brand of Vegas, once a symbol of luxury, excitement, and entertainment, is also put at risk. More importantly, this phenomenon not only affects tourists' short-term experiences, but also has long-term consequences for the city's image. When titles become commodities, businesses that are truly doing well but lack sufficient financial resources will be pushed out of the game. This creates a vicious cycle, where average but well-funded brands are elevated, while quality names with fewer resources are forever overlooked. In that context, the solution for travelers is to seek out more objective and transparent review sources, rather than relying solely on colorful rankings. Reputable and independent platforms like TripAdvisor or Yelp, where feedback comes directly from the experiences of millions of real customers, can provide a more authentic and multifaceted perspective. While not absolutely perfect, these platforms allow readers to compare multiple opinions, enabling them to make more informed choices. By relying on real experiences instead of flashy titles, visitors can protect themselves from clever marketing scams. If titles and awards can be easily bought and sold, how much real value is left in Vegas? And can this city continue to maintain its image as a recreational paradise, or will it gradually become a symbol of deceit in the eyes of tourists? You walk into a glamorous casino in Las Vegas, the bright neon lights reflecting off the clear glass, and the clinking sounds of slot machines ringing out incessantly. In that atmosphere, a visitor would often think of ordering a beer or cocktail to fully enjoy the Vegas experience. However, even within the same resort, the price for the same type of drink can vary incredibly. A prime example is how a can of beer sold at a bar can cost up to 50% more than the same can of beer sold at the convenience store right below. And what's noteworthy is that most bars don't list prices beforehand, leaving customers only to know the final amount when the bill is placed in front of them. This lack of transparency creates a sense of unease. Tourists who had already spent thousands of dollars on the trip still couldn't shake the feeling of being taken advantage of. When holding a can of beer in your hand, perhaps no one thinks they just paid a few extra dollars simply for choosing to buy it from a different counter in the same building. The story isn't just about beer or cocktails. It's a microcosm of how the tourism industry in Vegas operates, capitalizing on every moment and every consumer habit of visitors to maximize profits. With its luxurious space, dazzling lights, and lively music, few people think to compare prices before ordering. Few people dare to get up and leave after sitting at the bar. The "if it's here, I have to spend" mentality leads many people to accept paying more without any hesitation, only to later realize with shock that they missed a cheaper option right in front of them. To avoid this situation, a simple but effective solution is to plan carefully and choose reputable brands. Chain stores like CVS or Walgreens, which are present at many locations around the Strip, often offer transparent and stable prices, making it easier for visitors to feel confident when purchasing drinks or essentials. Additionally, checking prices before ordering or quickly referencing information from your phone can also help save significantly. The issue here isn't about saving every penny, but rather the feeling of being in control of your experience instead of letting it be unconsciously led. So, what is it that makes a city like Las Vegas, known for its luxury and glamour, so often associated with a sense of disillusionment from such small things? Is that a clever business strategy, or simply a lack of respect for customers? And the bigger question, are tourists willing to accept unreasonable expenses just for a few days of glittering lights? Or will they start seeking out places that offer a greater sense of transparency and fairness? Las Vegas nights have long been promoted as a party paradise, where lights, music, and luxury blend together. Nightclubs like Omnia, XS, or Hakkasan are often mentioned as must-visit destinations for any traveler looking to experience Vegas to the fullest. However, behind that glamour, many guests were shocked when they saw their final bill. The price of a table was listed at a few $1,000s, but when the bill came, the actual amount was nearly half higher. What many people find frustrating is how these fees are added. First, there's a 20% tip that's calculated automatically and cannot be edited. Even if the group of guests felt the service was inadequate, they were still forced to accept the fee. Next is the admin fee, which is usually around 14%, but is not clearly explained at all. This isn't a specific sales tax or service fee, but rather an optional surcharge that the nightclub can impose. When taxes are included, the total amount customers have to pay is often 40 to 50% higher than the initial number they see on the menu. Many tourists recount feeling like they fell into a trap. They booked the table thinking the price was clearly listed, but ended up having to accept thousands of dollars more for charges that were never announced beforehand. It's worth noting that these fees are perfectly legal within the state of Nevada, as the law does not require nightclubs to be completely transparent about their cost structure. This leaves customers with virtually no choice but to pay in full, unless they want to face an awkward situation with security and management right during the party. In this context, some solutions emerge as bright spots to regain trust. Major booking apps like OpenTable and reputable VIP party management services are working to make cost information more transparent. Many platforms collaborate directly with hotels and nightclubs to publish all-inclusive price lists, which include all tips, management fees, and taxes up front. This helps customers know exactly how much they have to pay, avoiding unwanted surprises. If these models are replicated, perhaps Vegas will gradually restore its image as a true entertainment city rather than a bill trap. But the big question remains, will these hiddenly expensive experiences cause Las Vegas to lose its status as a party paradise in the eyes of international tourists? And more importantly, if customers continue to feel exploited, who will want to return to the place once dubbed the entertainment capital of the world? You just left the slot machine after a few hours of playing, and in your hand is a voucher with a few cents remaining. It sounds trivial, doesn't it? However, the surprising thing is that those loose coins are not automatically returned to you. Instead of being added directly to the amount you receive, you will have to take this voucher to the counter to exchange it. And in fact, many tourists, after winning or losing and tiring themselves out with entertainment, don't even bother about those few cents anymore. As a result, that tiny amount of money, when added up from millions of visitors, has turned into a huge figure reaching tens of millions of dollars each year. So, where does that loose change go? Typically, most of this money will be divided at a certain percentage, with a portion going to the casinos and a portion transferred to the state government. Everything is perfectly legal and transparent on paper, but what makes visitors uneasy is the lack of clarity in how it operates. There was no prominent announcement reminding you that to receive the correct amount, you needed to go through another step. Go to the counter to exchange the voucher. Meanwhile, not a few people, either because they were busy or simply felt embarrassed about a few cents, skipped it. Many tourists have shared that they only realized the truth when they added up the unused vouchers throughout their trip. The amount may not be large for an individual, but when viewed from a societal perspective, it is clearly a significant sum. This also raises an ethical question. Is it fair to exploit customers' carelessness and fatigue to turn coins into profit? Although we can't confirm every detail about this profit-sharing method yet, it's clear that the system is designed to encourage skipping. And that's what makes many people feel like they're being peeled away bit by bit, not just by large expenses, but even by the smallest ones. The practical solution here isn't to avoid Vegas entirely, but rather to choose more transparent places. Major brands like MGM Resorts have begun testing electronic refund systems, allowing guests to receive their full amount, even if it's just a few cents, directly to their card or account. This could be a game changer, making customers feel more fairly treated and respected. If a few cents from millions of people can become tens of millions of dollars, should we then underestimate its value? And more deeply, are the small things we overlook every day also being silently exploited by someone to generate huge profits? Las Vegas was once a symbol of dazzling neon lights, lavish parties, and once-in-a-lifetime experiences. But now, behind that glamorous facade, lies the disappointment of millions of visitors who leave feeling more ripped off than welcomed. When service fees are unclear, prices are unreasonably inflated, and collection tactics are becoming increasingly sophisticated, will anyone want to come back again? The consequences are not limited to enormous bills. It erodes trust, ruins experiences, and tarnishes the reputation of a city once dubbed the entertainment paradise of the world. If tourists feel this place only exists to drain their wallets, the Vegas lights will eventually dim, leaving bitter memories instead of happy ones. But amidst that picture, there's still a glimmer of hope, transparency, and fairness. Other tourist cities around the world are starting to change by clearly listing costs, reducing hidden fees, and giving customers more choice. If Las Vegas wants to maintain its position, it must listen. So, is it time for tourists to demand more than just the glitz and glamour? And will Las Vegas dare to change before trust completely disappears? If you've had a similar experience, please leave a comment below so everyone can share. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to explore the hidden corners of America's most famous cities that few dare to talk about. The content in this video is compiled from various public sources and presented from an analytical and exploratory perspective with the aim of providing information and entertainment. Some details may be general or not fully verified, so viewers should consider this when receiving the information. The video is not intended to attack, defame, or make definitive statements about any individual, organization, or business. All opinions in the video are for reference only